RMJ Movie Reviews back again with another television review of True Detective Season 3, Episode 4. I know I'm a little bit late with this, y'all, but man, oh man, the pot is stirring. The investigation is progressing the episode. Man, I love this show. You know what? I just want to say to the critics, right before I go into talking about this particular episode, I think all the criticism towards this season so far is just unjust. I don't even think it's fair. I think that people basically just want this to be season 1. Period. That's all it is. And if True Detective does not hit the exact, and I do mean exact same beats of season 1, then they don't like it. And I think also, too, people don't like it just because Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson aren't in it. And that's not the idea. The idea is that this is a noir character study of detectives who investigate these horrific crimes. It's an anthology show. Each one is going to be different. And also, too, I think after the convoluted story of season 2, and although season 2 had spectacular moments, Colin Farrell and Rachel McAdams had some really great work in some of those episodes, particularly towards the latter half of the season. I think people they just want to nitpick. That aside, of my opinion of why people keep hating on True Detective season 3 so far, I think it's spectacular to me. I'm kind of gonna get my negatives out the way quickly. Judging this season on its own so far, now I know previously I've heard a lot of people say it's too slow. I mean, look, again, like I said, season 1 wasn't particularly the fastest in the world either. I think that's just an unjust criticism until this episode. I will say there was only one moment in this entire episode that I felt was drug on. It was too long, and that was the dinner scene between Detective Hayes and well, at this point in the 1980s storyline of the story, his the teacher that he's dating. That scene, I will say that was the first time where I'm in agreement with the criticisms of the show being too slow. I just felt that scene just went on too long. We got the basic gist. From their behavior that he is I wouldn't say he's a broken man, but he's a man who's been to war. He's been to the Vietnam War. That's a traumatic thing. So he's a man that has a lot of trauma, and he has this job where he's a detective and he's investigating murders, and homicide detectives and police work is a very traumatizing job. Regardless of how strong these guys are and do their job every day, they sustain a lot of emotional trauma from their work, and it's very evident in his interactions with her. Flip side of it, she is one-eyed cookie. This chick is weird. She's very weird. And the more the episodes go on, I don't know what's going on with this woman, but I know she did indicate that she said she's a mess. I'm going to take her word for it literally. She's pretty, but damn, she's an oddball. She's a very strange woman. As indicated later on in the 1990s aspect of the show, where they have this interaction. Well, I don't know, for those of us who've been in relationships, this could just be how men and women interact. But anyway, they argue, and after that they have sex. And but even after they have some makeup sex after their argument, there's still this odd lingering tension that's there. But I thought that scene did very well of establishing that they're both very they're people that have their own internal mess that they're dealing with, and I think that is how they relate. That's where they come to an even ground. You know what I mean? Not so much that they're actually relating to each other really as a very deep emotional connection. I think they're relating to each other because they're both odd, or dealing with some type of traumatic struggle, and I think that is what has formed their relationship. You see a lot of that in real life. I think this relationship is very brilliantly played beyond. And I love season one, but just the stuff of Woody Harrelson stepping out the back door. That's pretty typical stuff for men and women relationships on film. I really like the dynamic of this relationship a lot better. Um, my favorite portion of the storyline of the series so far is the 1980s stuff. I love that aspect of it. And I love how in this episode, is that so the clues are coming along. They're making some more leads. Obviously the photograph leads to the church. They find out about this gentleman who is, and this is a through line of the episode, that the gentleman is black, as described by one female character, a Negro gentleman like yourself, and this takes place in 1980, so this is going from the 70s into the 80s, and the racial stuff was still kind of really kind of on that kind of 60s, 70s stuff around that time, even though I wasn't born yet until 81. I mean, I'm old enough to kind of remember racially how things were, at least up until the mid and late 80s. But anyway, as indicated by the character, so his race, Detective Hayes, really plays into how he's depicted. He's depicted as a black man first and a police investigator second, and that's very prevalent throughout the episodes. I think that also be contributed by the writer David Milch, who did NYPD Blue, and he had, if you guys go back and watch some of those episodes of NYPD Blue that he wrote, there's a very big racial undertone to a lot of his episodes. There's many episodes, so David Milch, even though I think there were other episodes that he didn't write previous to this one. I'm wondering if the Negro and the Black were maybe his contributions, because there was a lot of that on NYPD Blue. But anyway, that factors into the investigation too. You see how he's perceived, the hurdle that he has, because most of the episodes he's kind of rolled with it like black guy, Negro, whatever. But this time it's just kind of like it repeatedly happens. The racial thing is repeatedly hit in this episode more than in the previous ones. I was gonna say it really shows, and I'm gonna step outside just talking about the episode. It really shows honestly what, and we're not gonna talk about black women in this particular aspect. We're gonna talk about black men. How black men, that's pretty much the BS that we got to deal with on a daily basis. That's just real life. It's actually authentic, people. It's not just part of the show. It's stuff that I deal with every waking day of my life, and I'm 37 years old. That's a shame. It's really sad. But either way, that plays into a lot of the episode. It shows how also there's an aspect where the tables are turned, and Stephen Dorff's character experiences it too. That's a very good tension-filled scene. But you're seeing the investigation move forward in 1980. Then we go to 1990, and you already see that again, more clues are planted that something happened where Wayne was disgraced or demoted or whatever, and you can obviously tell that that Stephen Dorff is leading this re-examination of the kidnapping murder of the kid or whatever, and you can really see that Stephen Dorff really was batting for him, and everybody else is not too happy that he's there, and he's really struggling with the fact that he got booted out. There's a lot of different things going on there. And then we go back to and this is kind of honestly my least favorite part of the series so far, is the elderly Hayes struggling with his dementia. I just really don't enjoy this part of the story. I just don't, and I think maybe it has to do with the fact that Mahershala Ali's depiction of this character is so strong, and he's very stoic, and he's flawed, but in particular, the way his character is presented in the 1980 aspect of the story, I love that aspect of the character so much for me to see him as this elderly man with his mind gone, it really it kind of takes the wind out my sail a little bit. So that part of the story I'm not particularly crazy about, but I do think it's very well done because at this point we're trying to figure out. I'm starting to wonder with this thing of Wayne asking questions and stuff. I'm just starting to wonder if this is some old Fight Club type stuff where it's all in his head. That maybe the case has already been solved way back in the 90s, and this is just part of his dementia where he's just repeating these things, and everybody around him is just humoring him because they know he can't remember Jack. That's what I'm starting to wonder. But I'm really digging it. Just like I said, it just had that one slow spot, which was the dinner scene. But man, again, the banter between Mahershala Ali and Steven Dorff, I love that it actually has like some classic Shane Black, Lethal Weapon 1, Last Boy Scout type of banter in there. It's really brilliant. I mean, I love the scene where, Mahershala Ali basically is like, after they have the confrontation in the trailer park, the all black side of town, and they bust his window, Steven Dorff's reaction is great, but I just love how, Mahershala Ali goes, can we just kind of write it up as, some random theft? And then Steven Dorff turns and looks at him and goes, you sure we don't want to write it up as unruly Negroes? I was like, and Mahershala Ali just turns and looks at him and gives him a little grin and stares out the window, and they grin at each other. And I was like, yes! I was like, that is Last Boy Scout. Oh, it's great. Man, there are so many great moments where, like, Steven Dorff's character, they go to the church and they're gonna question the priest, I think is what he is. And Steven Dorff is looking around, so they're trying to find the priest guy. They find him, and Steven Dorff turns and goes, "Man, excuse me, don't quote me, but I think the line is, this is what is it? I don't know. I think he said something to, there's a gang of ass here or something like that. But it is so well delivered, and it is such a genuine thing that a man would say in that environment. And I love that he actually goes and gets her phone number. It's fantastic. Oh, I love it. It's great. And I love that kind of stuff where, like, it's not just flat out just like, okay, we're here to investigate. It's like, they are investigating, and Steven Dorff sees a bad chick. It's great. It's really great. And Mahershala Ali, I love the fact that he's not just a flat, stoic, broken man, as I kind of felt Colin Farrell's character was in season 2, where Colin Farrell's character, matter of fact, all those characters were almost just completely broken, and there was never any kind of relief. But I love the fact that they do have that banter, the humor within the darkness, but it doesn't go too far. It's great. The investigation is moving along. I did get a tad bit frustrated with the jumping from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s, and from what I understand, I think a couple episodes going forward, the 1980s part is about to be gone. It's going to be strictly 90s, then strictly present. Oh man, I really like the 1980s portion. I just love the older vehicles, the older aesthetic that it has to it. I really love that. I'm really disappointed. I mean, not disappointed. I mean, I understand that the story has to be told, but I kind of wish they could stay in the 80s, but that's okay. I like to say that Carmen Agilo, I don't know how you say her name. I'm sorry, guys. The actress who plays the wife. Again, she's a strange, different kind of character. I mean, man, she's beautiful, but I don't know what's going on with her, but she is one strange cookie, man. She's odd, and I don't know what they got in store for us, but something ain't right up here. She's a little cuckoo because they have this scene where she goes to the children's house and she's playing sympathetic, and she makes a really dumb move and goes from just, I'm gonna be sympathetic and bring, she overstepped the line. She really overstepped the line, and she tried to play detective, and it really backfires in her place. And you know what? It was well deserved because she was out of her place, in my opinion. On that, she's an odd duck, and you even find out she's a strange character, man. I don't know what we're gonna find out about her, but there's some. I got a feeling there's some clues. There's little clues and nuggets that are being laid out there, and I'm doing my own detective work on her. I don't think this chick is right. I'm not trying to say she got something to do with it, but I don't know. Something ain't right with her, man. I'm getting a bad feeling about her, man. But yeah, man. Aside from that slight moment, everything is really coming together. Well, at least the story is moving forward. And again, we kind of go back to that thread they left dangling last time. I think he's a red herring, but the Native American gentleman who was also a Vietnam veteran. I think he's kind of sort of vagrant trash picker guy who hasn't seen his kids. Well, I kind of knew where that was going from last episode, but yeah, the good old boys in the truck made a really big mistake with him because they made. I'm not gonna give it away, but yeah, they made a really big mistake, and we're about to find out how big of a mistake it really is in the next episode, episode 5. This show's fantastic, man. It's just really great. The critics of it, I think I saw something on Google where they were like, season 3, episode 4 falls flat or something like that. Man, don't listen to them people. If you guys are a fan of noir storytelling, and if you're just a fan of police procedurals and detective work, you'll be feeling this show. Aside from the dinner scene, which I felt was a slight negative because it went on too long, we got the basic gist. I really just think it's very fantastic. The only other negative is the jumping back and forth between the timelines. It does it so frequently it doesn't do it too frequently. It does it enough so that you're very aware of what's going on in the story. Something season 2 did not do. So I do like that. And again, I'm not crazy about Old Man Hayes, but it is what it is. That's the story. That part of it I'm not crazy about. But I am loving, and I do use the word loving, season 3 of True Detective. I'm loving it. I might even go so far on a limb as to say I'm enjoying it a little bit better than season 1. I'm not saying it's better than season 1. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying me as a viewer, my own self, am enjoying it a little bit better. But obviously, season 2 is way. See, season 2 is just upheld simply because of the really, really fantastic moments that Colin Farrell and Rachel McAdams had, and also I might add that fantastic orgy scene from True Detective season 2. That was the highlight of that entire season. That was epic. Just in the use of music and how you could take a situation that is, you would think probably for a man who's 20 or it's somewhere in his 20s, maybe in the early 30s, that it would be a pleasurable experience, but it turns into a horror show. So I just wanted to say that because somebody did ask me a comment last video about season 2, and I want to say that is the highlight of season 2. I think another good scene would be Rachel McAdams revealing, not by her not on purpose, but her admitting to Colin Farrell about her molestation, and Colin Farrell's kind of like, huh, great moment, and Colin Farrell finding out that he killed the wrong rapist guy. Doesn't get any better than those moments. Those moments are fantastic. Those are the kind of moments that True Detective are about. So I just wanted to put that in there, that I just think season 2 is convoluted and it was too much going on. But I will say it does have a lot of good in it too. So guys, I'm feeling this season. I think it's great. I think it's a return to form. It's not season 1. It's its own thing. But still, I think it's spectacular. I think it is just as spectacular and as enjoyable as season 1. So those are my opinions on True Detective season 3, episode 4. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, leave comments down below, and ding, 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 ding. Don't forget to hit the bell. RMJ Movie Reviews. I'll be back soon.